Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. My name's Angela, and I am thrilled to have another wonderful guest with me. He is strongly, highly, I would say, recommended, and there's good reason why. And so I'm really pleased to welcome Kamel. So, Kamel was born in West Africa and raised between
Yeah.
cultures shaped by both beauty and pressure. He knows what it's like to live a life that checks all the boxes but leaves your soul behind. From the outside, it looked like success, but inside, he was exhausted, disconnected, inauthentic, playing the victim and also playing the game. So he burned it down gently on purpose. What followed wasn't some shiny spiritual makeover, it was a real, messy, and magical life. He studied with shamans, breathwork teachers, energy healers, and mostly with life itself. He didn't find a quick fix, he found something real. He didn't come back with a new identity, he came back to himself. And now he guides others through the same kind of return with truth, with tools, with joy. He has many certifications and studies in shamanism, tarot reading, energy healing, breath work, spiritual life coaching, hypnotherapy, and meditation. He says the goal isn't perfection, it's presence. And you don't need fixing, you need remembering. And you're exactly where you are meant to be. So thank you for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me. And I'm
Yeah,
excited for this.
me too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I want to start with just what is a shaman?
Beautiful. So, in my perspective, in the way that I have been raised and the way I have learned, there are so many different ways to describe a shaman. When it comes to the etymology, this is something specific, but we won't go there. Let's talk about what is commonly called a shaman. And a shaman, for me, is the person that is a bridge between the physical realm, the human realm, and the spiritual realm. So it is the one that knows how to connect both worlds, either live in both worlds at the same time, one foot here, one foot there, or travel in betweens, or both. That's mostly how I see it and how I live personally as a shaman. So the shaman would be the one that would know how to communicate with the people, the human here, and the people, the spirits there. So that's for me what is a shaman. The purpose of the shaman would be definitely known and supposedly the one that would bring, I'm going to call it magic to the human experience, bringing answers, bringing alignment, bringing spirituality to the human experience, mostly to help the one or the community into going into a better place or being in a better place or heal from sickness or any kind of situation that could alternate anyone's alignment or the community alignment or the community vision or mission. So that's for me what a shaman is as a role, being the bridge between two different realms.
I love that. And so you say that you're not the typical shaman or
Yeah,
shaman, how you say
yeah.
it. So, what is different about you?
So people would expect a shaman to have a specific way of life that exists, have a specific way of life that is very much into connection with the spirits and having a presence of spirits all the time in their lives. I have an approach that is a little bit different, that is a bit non-typical, that is really putting the human experience first. I am a believer of being a human means you have to experience life, you have to really get into life as an experience and find the balance between the human form, which is the body, mind, energy, frequency, that's the human, and the spirit or the soul, or whatever you want to call it, beyond the human experience. So my way of coming as a shaman is putting all this together and pushing all this together. I would not just do what a shaman would do, so going into a spiritual realm and bringing the teaching or the medicine from it. I'll also push the aspect of the human, hence why I went into learning way more than just spiritual practices, going from chemical engineering to neuroscience to understanding the human through counseling, psychotherapy, like all these different spectrum of the human, but also finding where in the spiritual or in a shamanic way we can find its representation in the human aspect. So my way of showing up is really bringing the human first and then the spiritual after, to make people experience and understand themselves and connect to themselves, so we can go deeper and connect them to their soul, spirit, or whatever they believe in beyond the human experience. And there is always a tone of fun into it. I really value, again, the experience, but it has to be fun. It doesn't have to be very just heavy and icky. It is already very heavy and icky and difficult to go through it. When someone comes to see me, it's already something very difficult they're going through. So I bring at least a kind of a sunlight into it by creating the fun aspect of the experience. Not saying that going through it is fun, but finding the fun in the experience also. Again, through the different spectrum. And finally, I'm known to be a little bit more direct, a little bit more harsh. I don't sugarcoat. When someone comes to see me, it's about, like, my first title. When people ask me what I am, I don't say I'm a shaman. I say I'm here to help you get your shit together. This is literally what I do. So I'll bring that harsh fun, but still valuing the seriousness of the situations, because still, like, we have to be mindful about what people experience. So that's where the not typical shaman would come into the game. And when you meet me in the street, you would not imagine, assume that I'm a shaman, because I don't show up in that way. Actually, I show up really as a human and as experiencing life. And then when people start knowing me, they would know the extent of what I do, and that's quite a nice surprise for them. So that's the not typical shaman aspect.
I love that. And just sitting here in your energy, you're very real. And I think
Oh.
that's why, because you're not afraid to dive into that human aspect. I think that we get caught up in the spiritual world and almost forget about the fact that we're here to have this human experience. And so I love what you're saying about that, not to leave that part out. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
thank you.
Yeah. And it's interesting. How did you get to doing what you do? Like, what was your background? What was the journey? How did you end up here?
So it has been a long journey. Most of it, as you said it in the bio, it really comes from a human experience. My biggest drive is my curiosity. I'm extremely curious about the human in all its form, from the way people think and feel, the emotions, what are the emotions, how we can impact the emotions, how the outside world has so much impact on the inside, what happens in there. It's all these questions. I have so much curiosity around it that I always want to learn more and more and more. So that's one aspect of it. Another aspect is the fact that I'm born and raised in West Africa, in the Ivory Coast, and we are very, very much always in contact and in touch with spirituality through different ways. Through, we don't call it shamanism over there. It has another title, but it's the same. Different but same. So going into the aspect of understanding that there is something way more than what we are as a human has always been one of my biggest drives, like wanting to understand, because I cannot just say yes and obey. That has been maybe my parents' biggest challenge, but also what made me be different from all the people that I know that are still back home is really this drive to wanting to understand more. Don't just tell me this is the way. Tell me why. Then yes, I'll accept it. But I need the why. So my path has been really going into understanding all what goes around spirituality. And I have been, let's say it, adopted, which is a little bit different back home, like from the Western way of seeing adoption. But like, let's say I belong to a tribe, and this tribe is known to be the protectors of the land in the spiritual realm. So embracing that path, wanting to know more about it, this is how I got my initiation way, way long ago. And for a long moment, I didn't want to really connect to it, but because again, it was so much rules without really understanding why. But then my journey that took me into experiencing the human part with being stuck in a victim mindset, being stuck in a materialistic world. All what matters was to make money and create money and make this success happen, this material success happen. And I needed to do it because this is the only way I would be valued and existing. But I was so miserable. It's when I burned it gently, lost everything, that I embraced back myself and embraced back my spirituality. And again, in the same way, wanting to understand more what's going on and how it happens. And this is maybe the most important part of my journey, losing everything, becoming homeless, and literally sleeping on the street at some point, and going from multi-million-dollar company to nothing. This journey has been literally the best thing that happened to me, because it made me experience all the different spectrum of the human, from the emotion, from being suicidal to finding myself, to loving myself, really going from one spectrum to another, and then slowing down completely when I was homeless and with nothing, because there's nothing else to do and I had no other company than myself, to slow down completely and start understanding myself. And by connecting to myself, to my emotions, to my patterns, all these cycles, and then learning about how I can heal myself. And therapy definitely helped me a lot. My path continued into, now I want to apply all this to the soul, how the soul sees all that. What is the soul role in all this? So I went deeper into shamanism, and I learned the Quechuan tradition, the shaman descendants of the Inca, which are called the Queros in Ecuador, Peru, and Bolivia. And I walked that path for 6 years now. I've been walking that path. I am what is called a Paco, which is a shaman of Peru. And through these initiations, I was able to find a lot of answers also. So one aspect of me, just to add a quick little thing, is I don't work with anything that goes into plant medicine. In the lineage I follow, in the lineage I have been raised in, we do not allow any spirit to come and take control of this body. This body is very sacred, so we have to take care of it. We have to work with it, and it belongs to a soul. So as an extension of the soul, we don't let anything come and take this control, the control of this body. So through the Quechuan tradition, I was able to see something that was really in alignment in the way I see things and the way I have been raised in spirituality, without having to let any plant medicine in the body, but understanding that we can go meet the spirits in different ways. So that was very, very helpful also for me to understand more myself than the soul that is behind or around all this body. Like, long story short, the journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So fascinating to hear about how you moved through and how you found the answers. And it sounds like you've got such a breadth of experience that you can share with others, because you've really been through some tough things, like
Yeah.
some hard
Yeah.
challenges. And so, yeah, I want to get into more about breath work, because I know
Yeah.
this is something that you do, and specifically the shamanic breath work, because I think
Yeah.
this is specific to what I know there's lots of different types. So maybe
Yeah.
just describe for me what you do.
Yeah. So breathwork itself is one specific thing, which is a technique of breathing. So yes, you have a lot of different techniques. They all more or less do the same thing, taking you to another kind of state where you can have more clarity, more understanding, healing your body, your mind, your emotions, your energy, healing your soul. So different layers of it. Shamanic breathwork is a technique that I have been working with, and I created a few years ago when I went through different master classes of breathwork. So why I chose breathwork? Breathwork for me was the easiest way to meditate, because my grandfather used to say that I have a chili in my, I'm going to say it, in my butthole, because I don't know how to stay still. I'm always doing something. I'm always moving. So meditating was quite challenging for me. And breathwork was my way to access that state of meditation. And in this breathwork, I was able to one specific masterclass, connect to my body, to another masterclass, have outside of body experience, to another masterclass of breathwork, have another kind of experience when it comes to emotions and connecting to emotions and flow. So for me, every time there was something missing. So what I decided to do is to take the best out of this and this and this, add to it everything I have learned around energy healing through Reiki and everything I learned around shamanism, bringing shamanism into it and working with other people or other spirits, hypnotherapy and going into scripts and understanding the scripts, working with sound and the power of the vibration and the frequency of sound, mixing all together and creating a session where people would be able to take the benefit of everything that I have been gathering all these years in one specific sessions, where we can let them access different state of themselves, from the body, then the mind with consciousness, with emotions, then the energy with a specific frequency, to becoming a soul or the higher self, or whatever they believe in beyond the human experience, but going from one level, one state to another. And that's what shamanic breathwork is basically. So it's all about helping people connect to themselves and them becoming the bridge between the different states of who they are. And it aligns with the way I show up when I take people into any kind of work, therapy, or any kind of shamanic work. It's all about empowering them, making them connect to themselves, understand themselves, and then let's do the work and let's go deeper into it.
Wow, I like that. I like that as a foundation,
Yeah.
as empowering the human aspect of you before going on to that spiritual aspect. Because we can talk about spiritual bypassing and those things that happen. I experienced that myself. I think we all get to that point. But yeah, so with the breath work, do you do this only in your retreats or do you do this on Zoom or how do you conduct?
All of the above.
Okay.
So shamanic breathwork has been really an anchor and a foundation, as you mentioned that word. That is really what it is. And in every work I bring on the table, whenever anyone comes to me and whatever they need to work with, breathwork will come into the game because it's really the best way to make people realize who they are. And I use it a lot in that way. So when I have retreats, when I create retreats, it is there. My retreats are also around the connection to self. I do silence and darkness retreats, so taking people into the universe within. There would be breath and breath work and shamanic breath work in the entire retreat, present with other workshops also. I do it online on Zoom for people to be able to join, donation based, every other week. And soon enough, I'm going to start also doing it like it's going to be every week, but one in French, one in English, because I have a lot of people really wanting it in French too. So it's going to happen every week also. But I also do it individually with people when we work together. I don't have one specific thing. People would not come to just do breath work. They will come to do a specific work and there will always be breath work in it. So it really goes from a retreat to Zoom group online to online sessions privately to all in person privately. And it is something that I will really use every single time because it's really the best way to take people into connecting to this universe within and understanding themselves a little bit more so then we can move on and go to the next level of the work they want to do.
Mm, beautiful. I did listen to you talking a little bit about anxiety. And I know that there's a lot of people right now that have a lot of anxiety about the things that are going on in the world. And I think a lot of people are feeling like they don't have a lot of control. Can you
Yeah.
speak to that for a bit?
Yeah. Well, anxiety is all about that. It's predicting the future because we want to have control over it. So we stay in that prediction. It is the what if, what if. So that is the anxiety. And we do live in a world where not only a lot is happening or a lot of negative things are happening, but just so much is happening. We really live in a world where we barely have time to do anything. Like we go from one thing to another, talking about mass consumption, talking about everyone wants to have everything, talking about the speed of how things are just moving and flowing. And it's too much. It's too much for our little pure body to be able to process. Our brain that is made to really be able to manage so much thoughts, like 80, 90,000 thoughts a day, which is insane amount of thoughts. Yet this is still not enough to be able to flow with the how fast things are going in this world. So yes, we do live in a world where everything around us brings anxiety because we don't have any control over things and it's too much. So one of the aspects that I highly recommend is really connecting back to that breath. The breath brings us to the moment. It is really the only thing you can be sure about being in the moment is the moment you connect to that little breath, this inhale and exhale. And the moment you do this, you exit this state of what if, because the future doesn't matter. It's not here. We are in the moment. That's the only moment that matters. But it's also where people are scared because it's in this moment present that we have absolutely no control, actually. This is the only moment we have no control. In the future, we try to control it. We can try to make things happen in that way. But the only moment that matters is in the present. But in this moment, there is no anxiety, actually. So bringing people back to the moment is really how people or one can really exit that anxiety state. Of course, it's harder to do than to say, but one of the things that I highly recommend is this 5-10 minutes breathwork technique. I have a few of them on my website that people can access for free just to go back to this breath and finding themselves. And then the moment they do it 1, 2, 3 times a day for a week, it's going already to change them because they will give back power to themselves. They will give back their body the power to control its flow of chemicals and not having to force it to go into any kind of cortisol rush because of the anxiety or the stress. Also, stress is past experiences, so we don't want to live these experiences, so we're in a stress state. So yeah, connecting back to the breath is the way really to exit that kind of anxiety. And one of maybe the most common techniques to exit anxiety is think about 5 things you can see, 4 things you can smell, 3 things you can. All this is to take the brain away from this rushing thoughts to the now, to what's going on now. So it's all about that. Come back to the now, come back to your body. And the more you practice the presence, the more you work on the fact that it is about the now, it is about your breath, it's about who you are at this specific point, the less anxiety will have impact on you, the less you would be anxious about things. You cannot stop it. I am someone that is also anxious. Like we all are in a place where it is normal. We have to think our brain is made for that, but the impact of it will be very minimal. So it's all about bringing ourselves back to the now that this breath work can help with. And again, no need more than 5-10 minutes a day, once a day or more, 7 days, then 21 days, and it's done. The shift is already happening within. So that's for me anxiety, and it is something that I in a certain way, again, I like because it show me the impact and the capacity of the human, how the human can think and what they can do. So then to understand even better the human, so I can come and help even more and help myself first also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
Mm.
And I know that all that we've been talking about so far, we haven't said the word grief, but I know that all of these things are a part of that journey. And
Yeah.
so I'm interested in your take on grief because I'm sure you've
Mhm.
been through loss and change. Obviously, you described a few things there that have happened to you that certainly would
Yeah.
cause that. So, what is your perspective on the grieving process?
And also another way I'll come into grief from a perspective of curiosity around it. I did have a lot of experience, as we all did, in a certain way, had a lot of grief experience. And some of them I'm still going through almost a year later of things that happened last year for me. I'm still going through the process of grief because it's not linear. It's not something we can consider like, okay, I'm going to grieve, then it's done. No, there's no way it is going to be like this. It take time. It take years. It can take a lifetime to process grief. And what I like about grief, not that I like grief itself, but what I like around grief is the spectrum and the complexity of grief. So grief is not just one feeling we'll go through and that's it. The emotion of grief is so complex because it's multi-layered. When we go through grief for whatever loss, it has so many aspects of it, from this experience that stops now, it doesn't exist anymore, to the potential, to the dream, to the emotions around it. So there's so many different layers and so much complexity in grief that I really wanted to understand more how I'm able to, despite everything that happened, losing everything, literally losing every aspect of my life to a point where I had nothing, from family to ex to friends to countries, changing countries. And last year, so when we connected, I think I was still in Canada. Then I had to leave. I was asked to leave Canada. So I had, after 4 years of building my life there, I had to leave again. Second time, everything behind and start over somewhere new. So going through all that, and still I find myself so excited about life, so excited to experience something new. Not that I'm running away or I'm numbing or I'm distracting. It is there. I'm still grieving. There's certain aspect of me that I'm not allowing myself to go into as an experience because I didn't grieve yet, the other one. So I don't want to go into distraction. So one aspect of grief that I wanted to understand, how come I have so much resilience and I'm still wanting to build more and create more, is really in a spectrum, an aspect of the spectrum of grief that is beautiful. Because when something ends, yes, we have all the sadness, all the frustration, the anger, all that goes with it. But there is an aspect of, this is now space that is empty for something new, either better, either different, either more in alignment. Not saying that what we lost is not in alignment, is not something we wanted, but now we can build it better. We can do it better. We can experience life differently. We can appreciate life differently. We can appreciate people we have in our lives differently, better, more in alignment. So instead of going into the, let's say, low frequency aspect of the grief, I would look into the high frequency aspect of it and how I can enjoy and experience life differently, how I can cherish the people I have in my life differently, how I can love this new dog that I'm going to get differently. So it's all about, how can I make my life experience more in alignment, making more sense, being more present with it after what I have just experienced and the loss that I just experienced. So this is where, for me, grief is something that I would look into, creating the space for the sadness, the frustration, the anger, all these different layers of it that will come one after the other in a complete non-linear way, to also look at, okay, now there is space. How can I experience life differently in more alignment? So that's why, for me, grief is something that I didn't study per se. I didn't go into any studying grief per se, but the experience of it is just something I'm sitting in and experiencing still in whatever way possible I can. And taking my time, of course, that's one of the most important part, really taking my time in the grief, because there is no way I can control it. There is no way I can have any aspect of it being processed if I don't sit in it, but also being mindful, because it needs space and time and resources to be able to process, to be processed.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. And I love how you describe moving into this new space, because I think that gets hard to do when you are in that heavy emotion that you're trying to process. And for myself, I know when I started to step outside, I was like you. I just wanted to find out, how does this
Mm.
work? How do I move
Mm.
through this? What can I do? You know, people are saying that I'm going to grieve for a lifetime, that I will feel this way and I'll just get used to it. And I'm a bit of a rebel because I I
Yeah.
was like, no, I don't want to
Oh.
feel like that for the rest of my life. And so it's exactly how you describe. There's these aspects of grief that continue because life is, to me, it's always changing. So there's
Mm.
always some aspect of grief that we're dealing with because we're always moving into something new. And that is the whole point, is that we get to move into something new.
Yeah.
And so there's this cycle of letting go and searching out what we can do and how we can make it better. And so I just love the way you just described all of that.
And again, I bring it back to the moment. Okay, grieving for a lifetime, because, okay, fair enough. Where I am at now, that's what matters to me. And an aspect, like literally recently, I have had this experience where I saw this amazing dog, and it's like, okay, I think it's time for me to have another dog. And I was struggling so much because there is an aspect of me that I didn't let go yet, an aspect of my dogs that I lost in 2018 that I didn't grieve yet. And again, I'm going to welcome it with compassion because it's there. If it's there, it's an emotion that needs to be seen, heard, understood, felt. So I'm going to just have compassion, understanding, and taking the time it needs for it to be processed. But pushing myself into not holding to it, not letting the victim mindset come back and, oh, I lost my dogs. And there is now space for a new experience. There is a new way of getting a dog now. There is an opportunity to be a guardian once more for an amazing being. So letting both of these balance themselves, give what they each one needs from the other, and really finding that balance in it by staying in the moment. And that's for me where grief can be interesting to experience. I'm not saying positive. It can be heavy, it can be sticky. It is definitely heavy and sticky, but it's interesting to experience so we can understand ourselves even more and then decide how we want to move forward, what do we want to do about it. And that's most of my work. Okay, good. What do we do about it now? That's where I want to be in. How can we move out of this? How do you want it to be? Fun or not? So that's how I really bring myself back to the now, understand, live the emotion, go process everything I need to process. Now, what do I want? I want to experience the joy of having a dog. I want to experience the joy of having being the guardian of a being and all what is fun around it. Some aspects are not going to be fun, but still, it's still that. So now, how I can take myself and process the grief, so I can let this beautiful being come to my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just what you said, let this beautiful being come to me into my life, which I think is so important too, is just allowing these things to come in and embracing them when they do. Yeah, that's beautiful. Love that.
And really, it goes in any every other aspect of my life. Losing again everything last year, and kind of when I had to leave and coming to a new country where I literally have no foundation and building my foundation. Yes, I'm processing the grief. I'm processing everything that goes with it, with the loss, with the potential, with the dreams, with the people, the family that I had to leave, the relationship that I had to step away from because of that situation. But okay, now there is space. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to stay in that place where I had this and I had this and I had this, or I can build better? And this has been the resilience where today I'm finding myself creating an amazing retreat of silence and darkness where people came and shifted their life completely, where I'm creating a center now and a school. So everything that I wasn't able to build in my past life, well, I can do it now with the space that grief would need, because still, okay, and I'm connecting with someone, it's gonna bring the grief of course, and it's okay. But I'm gonna be vocal about it. I'm not gonna hold it or try to numb or distract. I'm gonna be vocal about it, and that's for me where grief is very, very, very important. An aspect of it is really voicing. Some people would say, yeah, but it has been a year. Well, yeah, it has been a year, but it's still 1 year. It's not more. It's not enough. So really exiting this projection of people and being vocal about it. Some people would understand, some people won't, and it's okay. It's completely okay. Both are completely valid and right. But really being vocal about it has been so freeing. Connecting with other people romantically or whatever, I'm sorry, it will take me too long. You need to be patient. If not, it's okay. But I'm still grieving that relationship. I'm still not ready. It's unfair for you. It's unfair for me. So it is that aspect of grief that I was able to understand and find that has been so, so helpful, being vocal. And honestly, it has been life changing so far because it brings so much peace and less pressure. You said, like, we have to let go. It's okay to not be able to let go.
Mm.
Less pressure. Let's this is how it has to be. No, everyone has their own experience. Everyone has their own way of experiencing life. So it's having compassion to ourselves, understanding to ourselves, acceptance to ourselves. And if others have it, good. If they don't, good. Doesn't matter. And that has been really life changing this year, at least for me, in the process of grief, of everything that I have been through quite recently, and also like for the last past years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you have so much to share, so much wisdom.
Thank you.
I could go and go
Thank
and
you.
go. Um, but tell people how they can find you or how they can get a hold of you or work with you.
Yeah. So not so typical shaman, that's one of the best way you could find me. So once you go on notyotypicalshaman.com, you'll have the website, you'll have the contacts, emails, WhatsApp. I am very bad at messages. I'm saying it openly. Everyone around me knows it. I take forever to answer messages because I have quite a bunch of projects going on at the same time. So I teach shamanic breathwork. I teach shamanism. There's a college in Ireland called Green Tara. So greentara.ie, this is where I teach, one of the teachers in that college. But on a personal level, when it comes to working with me, either the retreats that I'm doing, I started in Peru now, in the Sacred Valley of Peru. So the Silence and Darkness retreat are happening here. And I do some online work, not all the time. It's very limited, the amount of work I can do online. But I created, because of that, a team of different practitioners that do a little bit of what I do. So when people come to me, well, we have a full team ready to help these people in different ways. So I can make sure I can always show up for people. So that's my way of being able to show up for people. So yeah, the best way, notyourtypicalshaman.com. Social media is there, and any way to contact me is on the website. And I always post. That's maybe the best way. Like on social media, that's the best way. You always know what I'm doing and where I am just through this social media, beautiful tool of social media. And
Mhm.
yeah, that's mostly it for now.
Okay.
But yeah, big projects are already happening. So in the next couple of months, it's really gonna go way more than just in Peru. The expansion is gonna happen to Europe and Asia, where we're gonna take everything we do here and kind of copy paste, so we can really reach way more people and way more easier for people to find us.
I love that. And so I encourage people to start following you, find your website, find those social media posts, and see. Obviously, there's lots of things coming up. So to pay attention. And I know a lot of people are going to really resonate with what you've shared today. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that
Yeah,
because I know lives will be enhanced and it's going to be wonderful. Thank you for what you do.
yeah. Thank you. Thank you for creating that little space. Oh, little. That space, it's not little, it's a space. Thank you
Space.
for creating that space. It's the French to English. It means
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit
yeah.
different.
It's all good.
Thank you for creating that space for me and others to come and share what we do and being a window to the work we bring into the world. Really appreciating it. And I'm happy about this connection.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone for watching and bye for now.